Now entering Nerdist.com.
Okay. Looks like we're recording now.
Hey.
God damn it. Doug Benson, we've had the weirdest, most cursed... We actually recorded Doug one time before.
A few weeks ago.
The file turned out weird.
Why'd you do it, Doug?
And then we've been through two computers and a different recording system that we could not... we were having problems with that, too. So now we're just recording on my Zoom H2. So hopefully this sounds okay.
Sounds fine.
Well, as long as we all stare at it like this while
That's all
talking.
much over.
Need to clean
Poor
it.
Doug.
We don't want to accidentally talk in the wrong direction.
Yeah, sorry.
Not to take all the fun out of it, Doug.
It is.
Yeah.
It's omnidirectional.
Oh, also, we're all
like
going
a
to have to
band
put our
with
right
four
arm
front
up.
men. Yeah, I'll lean into it. And it makes me uncomfortable when dudes that are in the same band together get all in close like that when they're singing, like when
On
they
the same
share a mic.
What if
Yeah.
it
It
was
makes
like
me
what
uncomfortable.
about benefit concerts when they're all like, it was like 5 of them on
What about back-to-back guitar soloing?
Oh, that's fine.
If it's two dudes like touching backs, what's the point really? Is one gonna like flip over the other one or something?
No, just like, rocking out could be so exhausting that you just need to...
What about
Something to lean against.
what about Band-Aids? Do they know it's Christmas? Where you're like, are Boy George, Sting, and Bono going to kiss right now? Do you think they're going to lean
They
in and
did
kiss?
just after the...
Do you think they're going to make out for Africa?
That's a new concert I'm going to
Make out for Africa?
Make out for Africa. It's just going to be me making out with a
It's
bunch of girls.
about time.
Right? I think so.
And there's another thing he's starting, Tantric for Africa.
Tantric Africa.
I will not come until Africa is free.
Yeah, exactly.
Really?
Yeah. So
15 hours. Right? Isn't that his...
That's what he says?
That's what he says.
15?
He can have sex for 15 hours.
Does he ejaculate after 15 hours, or is he just like, well, I'm done?
I don't know, because I get bored of sex after about 15 minutes.
Yeah, I think
If that.
15 hours is not... I mean, anyone who's tried to have sex for like an hour straight, you kind of know. I mean, imagine, it's almost like water torture. Like, you just keep rubbing
Yes.
one area long enough, and then,
Yeah.
it goes from pleasurable
Do
to...
our listeners have sex?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure at least some of them do. Right?
Well, I was thinking when I was driving over here that this is like an extra nerdy episode of Nerdist because we could not be doing this on a more beautiful day.
Yeah. Well, me
Like, it's gorgeous outside, and we're sitting in here.
It's really hot
talking into
outside,
one
though, to be
microphone.
fair. It's
Matt
really
and I-
hot
It's
outside.
hot, but it's still just beautiful.
Matt and I were walking up, and we're like, it's a really nice day. Maybe we should do this outside. And then we're like, no, there's no shade outside of this
Yeah.
house.
No, seriously, though.
We don't want the sun.
Listen, 3 super white guys do not need to be in direct sunlight.
No, that's why I wear the long sleeves even on a warm day like this. But I just like it, and
That's what they do
right
in the
before
Middle
we
East.
start, right before we started, Jonah was asking me if there was any barbecues that was going to this weekend. I realized that they're probably happening now, if there are any.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, we're having a mental barbecue of
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah,
With
get
comedy
together-
stakes.
Get together with Starbucks and sit at a dining room table and
Yeah.
That's-
talk into a microphone.
Well,
the way.
our first episode was on Super Bowl Sunday, so I guess it's fitting. You know.
Oh, you guys
forgot
just
about that.
always ignore big events.
Are we recording?
Not on
Tape the
purpose.
podcast.
It
We're
just
recording
sort of
4th of July,
happens.
right, guys?
Yeah, we're gonna record
Of
4th of
course,
July.
yeah.
Yep.
Can't wait
4th
for
of
the
July
news.
is such a I love the Yay America part of it, but the fireworks don't change from year to year. Nobody really takes them up a notch.
No,
Barbecues don't change. The heat is the same usually, although it's in California. It's often overcast.
that's why we need to have Emerald's fireworks and barbecue spectacular,
I
and
usually
then
go
you
up
can
to
just
the
say
roof.
"bam" to the fireworks.
I usually go up to the roof of my apartment building and watch all of them. Like, I enjoy the neighborhood displays that are going on. And
The
sometimes you
illegal
can see-
fireworks, yeah.
Yeah, but then you can see like Santa Monica going. Sometimes you can see.
Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. it's
Yeah, and
pretty
they all
good.
look kind of the same,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like fireworks always look.
Or beautiful and
Explosions.
patriotic, whatever.
Yeah.
How is it patriotic though? I mean,
They
I don't
explode,
know.
I guess.
I guess like
like-
explosions.
It's a
War.
Chinese tradition.
It's what's
Jonah.
helped us kill
pretend
people
war.
Through wars to keep our nation.
These
together.
aren't killy explosions. These are pretty explosions.
Have you seen like my uncle did a couple tours in Vietnam, and like every time there was fireworks, he would
Oh, no.
end up kind of just like grabbing someone's arm, and it was weird because he'd be watching it, but then for some reason one of them would just trigger something, and then
For some reason, I don't know.
Yeah.
Dogs really hate
Shauna.
Dogs really hate it. The fireworks. Like,
Yes.
That's one reason I'm like, why? If every dog in town is going to be nervous and shaking all night long, that's not a. We should just go ahead and not have fireworks.
You give a dog
feel
some
bad for
Benadryl,
them.
actually. You know?
That's why I got a fireworks terrier. He actually lights fireworks
Well,
himself.
they can't get used to it because it happens for them every 7 years. It's
That's
not-
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Their independence is a little bit. Well, actually, to be fair,
I hate thunder, too.
dogs are not free yet. They have not been liberated, so they don't have an Independence Day of any kind. We still own them.
Dominate them.
Yeah.
They love it.
Stupid dog.
My roommate just went to China. Went to a bunch of different like small villages and stuff like that, and said that dog is still a prevalent item on the menus out there in
Nice.
small villages.
But they don't say what kind of dog. They just say dog.
Yeah, they just say dog. But like, I guess what's happening is that
You know
owning a dog is becoming like a sign of like affluence and power.
Because you don't have to eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
if,
so
if shit goes down, you have something.
you have it there.
That's there.
Yeah.
ready
To have
go.
a portly dog, that means
I'm gonna get some cows though in my house though, because that'll mean I'm affluent because I don't have to eat the steaks.
It's kind of true though. If you had cows in your house, I would think that you were rich.
if I had cows walking around my house, you don't think I would be a fucking hillbilly?
No, it's like
Kind of despot. Like, there's obviously a hole in the house that they got into.
well, he made the hole. He probably paid somebody to make the hole for the cows to get through.
Shh, guys, there's cows in the walls.
Cats.
Why do I keep all that hay there?
The cows are coming from inside the house.
The cows.
The cows are. When a stranger cows. Boo.
I'm just sitting here waiting for the cow discussion to end.
Well, Doug, it shouldn't be a surprise. I play a talking cow on Nickelodeon's Back at the Barnyard, so everything relates to cows to me.
Yeah.
And I'm done. Doug.
That's good. I like the way you get into character and really think about it.
Yeah, I really sit through.
Not
What
just-
would it be like to be a male cow with udders that don't exist in
He
life?
actually didn't watch Temple Grade just because he didn't want to,
I
feel
wasn't
that
sure.
pain.
Is there any, Doug Benson, any movies coming out that you're excited about? Well, let's talk about MacGruber for a second, because I've not seen MacGruber. I heard
Uber is
I,
so much funnier than anyone's giving it credit for.
I heard it's hilarious, and yet, like, biggest box office bomb for an SNL movie ever is what I heard.
Really? More than It's Pat?
That didn't really get
more
released.
than the Stuart Smalley movies.
Stuart Smalley
Saves
Saves His
Family.
Family?
Wow, I forgot.
I mean, it made like $4 million, $4.1 million. and
Yeah, it did not have a great opening weekend, but it went up against
Shrek.
some monster called Shrek, and then
Yeah.
the ongoing monster that is Iron Man. And what are you going to do? It's a hard movie to promote, I think, because you can't really say Will Forte or Kristen Wiig as people don't treat them as movie stars as such. And the MacGruber sketch was always a one-note sketch where they just blew up at the end every time. So it's probably hard for people to envision, oh, that's going to be hilarious as a movie. And then on top of it, it's really I think it's for boys more than it is for girls. I think some girls will find it funny, but it's really a lot of poo-poo caca.
Is it R-rated or is it?
It's a hard R.
It's a very hard R because it's super violent too.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Well,
Violence is great.
I'm
It's
wondering.
really funny violence. Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you think people as a whole are just kind of wary now of that style of comedy where it's like, oh, someone, someone taking something stupid really seriously kind of
Well,
comedy?
it does have this weird element of Austin Powers, I think, of just this guy from a bygone era, being called back to do some more, detective work or whatever. But
They don't have like that's sort of what made the Austin Powers movies work. I assume is just sort of the wacky characters around him. But like MacGruber's like really the wacky character, and everyone
Yeah.
else plays it really straight.
Exactly, which I like. Yeah.
It's fun. I saw it at South by Southwest, so after it was over, I kept saying to myself, "But was it really as great as it felt?" Because that night, it was the cast was there, and
Yeah.
at South by,
Everyone's jazzed,
everybody
yeah.
loves everything.
Yeah.
Like when I saw Kick-Ass at South by Southwest, I walked out of there confident that was going to be a smash hit all over the world, and and it's just done okay. But again, it comes down to the marketing. I think in MacGruber and Kick-Ass's case, I think lots of people that would enjoy it have either don't know exists or doesn't think it's for them.
Or do you think there's a stigma because it's an SNL movie that people are like,
I just don't think people make the connection at all. I just think that no matter how much you yell MacGruber, it doesn't mean anything to anyone because it was never a runaway. People weren't saying catchphrases from that sketch, and therefore it got turned
like Wayne's World. I mean, I remember when the Wayne's World movie came out, it was such a part of pop culture by the time that it came out as a movie.
It still holds as I think the best SNL movie ever made. You know, I think it's I can't think of a better one. I mean, it's not saying much. Most SNL movies suck. But, like, I think Wayne's World
stands on its own.
Come on, there's got to be... Well, I mean, like, Blues Brothers movie's in a league all of its own because it's such a crazy, over-the-top movie.
That's true, but I guess you could say the same thing about...
Sketch.
I think with Wayne's World, it's in a league on its own. It's just considered a comedy at this point.
That was on Siskel's top 10 that year that Wayne's World came out. It was, like, number 3 for him.
Wayne's World?
For that year.
I think it's great. I watch it.
Well, he's, he lives in Chicago, so that gave him a big boner. But, but I really think that if I sat down and watched it now, I would not be terribly amused by it.
I watched it recently and I still enjoyed it.
Did you ever like Wayne's World 2?
Because
that was torture for me. I couldn't take that one.
Not as a really movie, but like as a series of just kind of like bits and jokes. I liked it, but like I never find myself going back to Wayne's World 2. I find myself going back to Wayne's World.
It's like I watched Ghostbusters too. Like I torture myself with.
Did you guys go see Ghostbusters?
Yeah,
Ghostbusters 2 though is kind of amazingly weird.
Yeah,
like the whole what Peter McNichol character is really
so funny.
Janos Poha.
Really, he's very entertaining. But then the bankruptcy of ideas to go. Let's have something else giant walk through the city, and let's have it be like the very serious looking Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
Like that was such a misfire.
And not to be too much of a nerd, but they didn't really. The size of that statue didn't really stay consistent.
It wasn't consistent at all.
Someone had to have seen that and been like, when it steps on the car, that doesn't look at the same
That's
size.
exactly how I felt in Star Trek 4 with the friggin' Klingon ship.
Oh, with the
first
Warbird?
scene, they're standing
The
next to
Warbird?
it, and then anyway.
And then Spock put it in his pocket. You're like, that shouldn't fit in Spock's pocket. And why does Spock have a pocket?
How does that fit whales?
Metaphysical pockets.
How does that fit whales?
But yeah, me and Matt saw Ghostbusters on Friday at the New Beverly.
So good.
Double featured with Mystery Team, which was a Derek comedy movie, which is awesome.
Oh, I wanted to see. I just met one of those guys.
It's great. It's very funny. It's a very good movie. I think it will go down like as a kind of a cult DVD buy for a lot of kids.
It just came out on DVD, so if you're hearing this, go see it.
Yeah, pick it up. But it was awesome seeing Ghostbusters in a movie theater.
Was it full? Was the theater full?
The theater was packed.
I bet it was.
And it's weird because I grew up watching Ghostbusters. And so there were some things I didn't know were supposed to be funny.
You grew up over 2 hours?
Yes.
Or I was going to say, every day that was the curriculum.
Yes.
You just all day long, Ghostbusters.
That's
Jonah, when we started Ghostbusters, you were in first grade.
Yes.
I know, and now I'm picking colleges.
I'm like Jack.
Yep.
I learned how to make my eggs on the kitchen counter.
I have the most fun kind of progeria.
Yes, exactly.
But the reactions of audience members, like when you're watching it, it's very different from when you're watching it at home because it's everyone collectively is laughing at things and some stuff. Like I noticed a couple things that I hadn't noticed before, and I've seen that movie.
I want to go back and
400
see
times.
like comedies that I enjoyed years ago with an audience. But when you have the opportunity to go see it or just watch it on DVD, it never that really lessens the experience. Like I could still enjoy watching Ghostbusters on TV, but do I laugh out loud at anything that happens in it?
Right, because you've seen
None of it
What
really
are
surprises
your
me.
favorite comedies?
I like comedies that, like, when I see them again a few years later, they, not only hold up, but they also surprise me.
Like what? Like what
A great
changed?
example would be Election.
Yeah.
Is like one of the best comedies ever. Spinal Tap.
There was another thing about Tracy. Her pussy gets so wet. The first time I saw that, that was such a phenomenal. It was such a
It's an amazing movie.
yeah, it's
It's
great.
just everybody in it. It's great. It just has a tone that's just very like. That's the thing that I enjoy about a few of the somewhat newer filmmakers is some of them really have a good feeling for tone, and that's where most movies go astray to me. Because most movies just end up being a series of scenes that are sort of strung together with modern hits or something. Like I took my mom to see Letters to Juliet yesterday because there was no way I was going to see Sex and the City 2, and there was also no way I was going to watch Prince of Persia with my mom. Because she was like, "Oh, that looks good," and I was like, once you're there, you're not gonna enjoy it. So I wanted her to see something she would enjoy.
I'll tell you why I can't see Prince of Persia now because it just. I went and saw the Lost finale. Alison Haislip had a bunch of people over, and so I went to her house, and the Prince of Persia commercial came on, and she just goes, oh, I just can't stop staring at Jake Gyllenhaal's shoulders. And I'm like, well, now I can't see this movie because it just feels weird. I don't know, it just felt weird. I'm like, he's so beefcakey in it. Like, I just...
Yeah.
Doesn't he use a British accent, too?
I don't...
So it looks like he's using a
Yeah.
smarmy accent.
Like, what the fuck is that?
It's some sort of
I'm the Prince of Persia.
yeah,
No.
yeah. It's some ridiculous. It's a period piece. So
Why is it whenever
I'm sure there's some
A fake
explanation.
period.
whenever an
But, you
American
know-
whenever an American plays somebody foreign, regardless of country, it's a British accent.
But
Dude,
they'd probably say something. There's probably a few throwaway lines of dialogue of like, how he was raised by wolves outside of London.
But think about it, though. Think about it. An American accent, like, the thing about a British accent is that it just denotes that it's not American. If you hear an American accent,
Right.
I feel like it kind of, like, if I saw him doing an American accent in that movie, I mean, like, once I saw beyond his steaky shoulders, I would feel like, oh, it kind of takes me out of the movie because he's doing an American accent. There's something about British that just denotes foreign. Like,
I call it the
foreign, but
Robin
understandable.
Hood Valkyrie argument.
Yeah.
Which is Kevin Costner and Tom Cruise speaking in perfect, American, and everyone else is British. And in the case of Valkyrie, they're all supposed to be German.
But if you watch Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I think you can almost track the order the movie was shot because you can see the scenes where the accent degenerates, but in other scenes, he's got a little bit of one. And then in the next one, like, hey, little John.
Oh no, I thought in those scenes he was just mocking the other characters.
I think every movie should do the Hunt for Red October, pull in on the mouths when they're speaking the other language, pull out, and they can talk however they want to talk.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's-
that was pretty
was
nifty.
fucking awesome.
I was pretty. I
Yeah.
think I gave that an applause break
Yeah.
when that happened the first time I saw it because that's just a great idea. Like, that's the thing is that a lot of times, like that's what I like about J.J. Abrams stuff in general is the guy seems to be thinking ahead of like like that the ending matters.
Well,
that it
he wasn't
should be-
thinking ahead when he was like, let's put lens flares all over Star Trek. Anyway.
Well, that's another story. See, that's the thing is maybe. So you think maybe he shouldn't be directing per se? He should
I
be more
think
of
that
a
someone, perhaps the
creator, producer.
cinematographer, should have been like, maybe not a great idea for every scene. We don't need lens flares in it.
I think you're just mad because there were no whales.
There are many ways
in the
to be
Star
mad
Trek.
about that. I was sad when Vulcan got blown up. I was like,
I
this.
really enjoyed the new Star Trek. I thought that.
Yeah.
I liked it, and I own it.
And all the commercials, I was like, this is fucking Star Trek 90210. Like, it's just a
Yeah.
bunch of sexy people. And I saw it, I was like, oh, this is
I have to say
genuinely
that
enjoyable.
every actor in that movie, I thought, did a fantastic job playing the characters. Kind of like.
Oh my
not
God,
Millman's
Carl
game.
Carl
Urban
Urban was
McCoy.
amazing.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome.
And I thought John Cho was great too.
Yes, I agree. Do
They
our
did
podcast,
good. They all
yeah.
did good, like homage performances. Like not
Yeah.
a copy, but
Their own little
definitely the
twist on it,
spirit of it, though.
Yeah.
Like almost like when a good cover song, like if something
Yeah.
makes the song sound great but does it their own way. It's
But when
really
you
cool.
when you rewatch, I've rewatched it recently, and I was just thinking about the lens flare, so I was like, oh, it's not going to bother me, and then it does.
You know what bothered me, and I was reminded of it twice during this conversation. The first time I didn't get it in was I was watching the season finale of American Idol because I love American Idol. I can't help myself. And I'm watching it, and they have all these duets with famous people. Where like first an American Idol, one of the idols will come out and start singing a song, and then you're like, oh, that every rose has its thorn. That means Bret Michaels is about to come out,
Right.
and then they would. It was insanely predictable and kind of weirdly so that they would let like them sing like a little bit of somebody's song first, and now you're just waiting for the real deal to come out.
Right.
And in the case of Alanis Morissette, she sang with Crystal Bowersox, and they sang that "You Ought to Know" song or whatever.
Oh, what did she change going
That's what
down
I'm
into
saying.
a theater?
That's all I could think about. As soon as the song started, I was like, "Where's this going? What's she gonna say
I
instead
was-
of going dead? Does she go down on you in a theater?"
I was having dinner at my mom's house, and she had it on in the other room, so I didn't see it, but I heard it. And I've not watched American Idol since the Ruben Studdard season, and then it was kind of over the show after that.
Yeah,
but I know the general quality of the average singer is amazing. I mean, they're pretty amazing. But
amazing and yet green though. Like this year, there was a lot of people that just couldn't get their.
So
shit
what
together.
did Alanis say instead of "Go Down on You" in a theater?
She said, and the other girl I think had the line. So that because they were alternating lines.
Right.
That way, at least Alanis didn't have to butcher her own line.
Right.
But the other girl said, would he go out with you to the theater?
Wow, that's
Which
to the theater.
Yeah.
So she changed it. So either Alanis' original version is that she was blowing someone during a play.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Or
No, would he go out with you to the theater or a theater? I don't know which one it was specifically.
oh my god, you know they just
Either
sat around and
way-
agonized. They're like, how do we fix this?
I wanted to
But
be
either way,
clowning
it was
around
just
with you in the
like-
theater.
Would you?
Yeah.
Would you do your Bullwinkle impression in the theater?
Or does he want
No, wait.
in a theater? Like put in a funny noise.
Just have her do the old reverse.
To be fair,
Do
that
Popeye.
was not Dave Coulier. She did
Who
not.
was it?
That would I've had this conversation with Dave Coulier. The part of the song that was about him. The part of you can't do that on television. All right, you're gonna go down on me in this movie.
Also, though, it's like
It wasn't the
Introduction to the opposite.
Dave Coulier was the one where when she says, "I hate to bug you in the middle of dinner," where she calls his house while he's having dinner with his new girlfriend. That was Dave, but she did not blow him in a theater.
That seems like a mistake.
But also, it's like, what
Sorry,
difference?
sorry to ruin a bad song for you.
Wouldn't he own up to it? I mean, in terms of it was probably her idea. It's not like the way the song is written makes it sound like he forced her or coerced her into doing
Right.
it. It's more like she was just a wild girl who did that, and now
He had to try to
now
cut
that she
that
has a new girlfriend, she's like, oh, is that one of my things I did wrong? Was being
He tries to force
too
her.
slutty, too
I got
fast.
some Reese's Pieces right here in my pants. You want to get down there?
Yeah, and while they're watching Diner, it was the weirdest.
That was the most bizarre.
It was so weird.
While they were
It's like, hey,
watching-
you got this idea from that, and he's like, yeah, I didn't need a whole popcorn box though.
While they were watching
I just needed some Reese's Pieces.
a tearjerker like Men Don't Leave or Sophie's Choice,
Men Don't Leave's a good movie.
but sad.
Yeah,
But very sad.
But it's good. It's
The other thing I noticed about the American Idol finale is, and I know it's popular to shit on this gentleman, but when I heard Dane Cook's voice come on, and my first thought is, WT fuck, why is he on American Idol?
Did Carlos Mencia's act back?
So I go it. I've covered this before. The only reason I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the comedy he does now because I think he could do smarter comedy because he is a smart guy. The only reason I don't like him is because he was specifically rude to me personally. So I'm not just a comic who's jumping on the old fuck that guy bandwagon. I genuinely had a bad experience with him on top of the fact that I think he
could do better.
He could do.
He's
he could
been
do
nothing
better.
but nice to me, and I'm still not. I don't know what to think.
Well, anyway, the point is, I heard his voice, and so of course I'm like, well, what the fuck? So I go in and watch, and it was genuinely a bummer to see when he was doing a song on stage. They cut to
sorry?
He did a song. He did a song.
He came out with a
about
guitar
Simon.
and did a roast of Simon Cowell because it's Simon Cowell's last night, so they were making fun of him all night long. Like they let Paula Abdul come back out and she crazied it up, but they
crazied up the
But they had
stew.
Dane Gould. Dane Gould came out and sang a song about therapy.
And being from Massachusetts.
No, Dane Cook. They let him come out with a guitar. Like my first thing, I didn't tweet it, but my first thought was,
Simon
"Thank God
Cowell."
he's got a talent to fall back on." I never knew he played guitar, and that shows a lot of restraint on his part as a
He
comedian.
did release
No,
a
he
song
released-
5 years ago.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Why isn't he out there with the guitar all the time?
Well, because it's difficult to strut around and yell while you're playing an acoustic guitar.
Oh, you think that probably ruins his vibe or
Makes
whatever?
him, he would
Yeah.
have to get a headset.
Because Stephen Lynch is pretty
Garth
up
Brooks.
there in terms of like. I mean, I know he's no Dane Cook, but
I think he would probably.
but I mean, in terms of like, he's extremely popular, and that's all he does is sit there with a guitar, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just seems to me like, as someone who can't play any musical instruments or sing, that's a shortcut I would have grabbed onto and ran with if that
You
was
play the pipe.
a possibility in my act, right?
That was a high five you heard
Yeah, if I
between
could just
me
go out
and
and do
Matt.
bong hits and have people cheering.
You should come up with a musical pipe that while you're inhaling, you can play different notes as you're pulling air through it. All right, let me get back to my.
It's just
let me get-
I think that's why. Isn't that what's that thing that Peter Frampton used to play?
Oh,
Because that looks like a vaporizer with the
like a vocoder, like a vocoder.
Yeah.
So anyway, when Dane is up there doing the roast of Simon, And I guess someone stormed the stage that wasn't supposed to. There was some sort of a weird...
It was
Soy bomb?
The roast was about all the horrible things Simon has said to people in a song. Like the lyrics were the chorus was Simon says, and then the other parts, the other lyrics were all about.
Is your phone still on?
I don't think so.
Oh, good. You're in airplane mode.
Yeah, I'm in
Yeah,
airplane.
because if we hear tick tick ticks, we're not gonna hear. I haven't heard any yet.
Okay.
I put mine in airplane mode. I can tell because there's a little airplane.
A tiny little airplane.
Anyway, what was I talking about?
You're talking about the guy that stormed out during his set.
Well, they brought out a bunch of people that were like people that Simon supposedly insulted. All sort of came out, and then the final one was they brought out William Hung or whatever. But the thing is that William Hung came
He's
out at the
still
end of the
drawing
Pants on the
numbers?
Ground song.
William Hung and Dane Cook on one stage?
It was an amazing show. But anyway, those were two different numbers. But for some reason, one of the nuts in Dane Cook's song grabbed the microphone and said, "I'm going to pull a Kanye," and blah, blah, blah. And they went right to commercial. And then Ryan Seacrest did an ad-lib about it. Nobody ever spoke of it again. But Dane Cook
Until now.
Dane Cook did tweet about it and say that, yeah, that guy just did jack the mic and then they cut away. But the song, he said the song was
So you're
practically
following
over
Dane
when
Cook
it
on Twitter?
happened.
Is that what you're telling me?
I do follow Dane Cook on Twitter.
Didn't he
because
say
I think it's
it's
interesting.
Did he say I'm just glad that guy didn't hit my face when he took the mic because it would have that
It would have been lights out time.
Yeah, lights out time. Where he said it would have been gone from American Idol to American Face Punch.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's-
American
I
Idol
love
to
that
American
show.
dead asshole who tried to jack my microphone.
It's
Yeah,
go
I
time.
know.
It's go time.
No, I don't know what he said.
Tonight, an American guy tried to jack my ass idol.
I think it was more clever than that, whatever it was he said.
But so anyway, the painful part that I was talking about and I felt empathetic as a comic, like you just don't want this to happen ever. But when he was doing the song, it cut to a full shot of Simon who just kind of looked over to the other two and rolled his eyes like, oh jeez, which was
But
such a
that's
bummer.
how he reacted to everything,
And then
be honest.
they cut to a wide shot, and Ellen was stoically staring off to the side. She would not look at the stage, and
Wow.
it was this kind of weird moment of she just didn't want any part of it whatsoever.
I bet he's been on her show, though, a few times, I'd imagine.
I don't know.
During the writer's strike when she kept her show running.
That was waiting. You were waiting for that to come out, right? Do you feel any better now? Because you feel like you got that out.
No,
Still
I
angry?
just thought of it. That's why I said it. I really got to think about.
Still a
things
bubbling pile of blackness inside.
And I gotta say, as an Idol fan, I didn't mind Ellen DeGeneres, and I didn't miss Paula one bit. Like, people are saying the ratings are coming down, and they're trying to point to things like that the singers are shitty or that Paula Abdul's not there. And it's more like, no, it's been on for 8
The show's
fucking
been on a
years,
long time.
And Glee is now, oh look, now we get to see kids singing, and they sing well every single song, and
Every
they
time.
dance. There's choreography.
Right.
Like American Idol is so stilted and stiff compared to the show that is right after it most weeks.
Right.
They added a Glee song to the fountain at the Grove, and it's infuriating.
Oh, which one? Is it Journey?
Journey.
Yeah.
Did they replace the Lionel Richie song?
No, that's the only long's going.
Okay.
You hear
Oh,
Petra Hayden?
Can't ever lose on
8
that.
o'clock. 8 o'clock, guys. 8 o'clock at
Did
night.
they ever
All
play
night
TLC's "Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls"? Because
Yeah.
that would be a good fountain
long. I
song.
would listen to that.
Yeah, you ever hear Petra Hayden's
Probably 'cause of the AIDS reference in it.
acapella version of "Don't Stop Believing"?
No.
It's great. She has like a whole choir doing like all female acapella girls doing "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey. It's amazing.
Check
is
that out.
fantastic.
Petra Hayden.
Jonah
She has a
Ray.
whole album full of she even did like a whole acapella album of Who songs.
Oh, that's genius.
Yeah, but Petra from That Dog, the band That Dog.
It's like
I used to like
Sunkill.
that dog.
Sunkill Moon did I think it was a
they did
Muse
Modest
album.
Mouse.
Modest Mouse.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and his version of
Mark Kozlik.
Cities
Awesome.
Made of Ash is like really good. And
Awesome. It's funny because it didn't register in my head at first when I first heard that album that it was a Modest Mouse album.
yeah, it's good.
And then I realized, like, again, I thought, wow, these songs were. And then I realized that that's what
Never mind, I should get that. I should get that album again. It's a good album.
really good.
All right, let's pick it up at Amoeba later.
All right,
Oh, making plans.
they hang out
time of
together.
day,
This isn't just a
guys.
professional relationship. These guys actually hang out together.
Doug, how long have you been in
Want
Los
to go down to the
Angeles?
ArcLight and see?
You've been in LA for a while
put some
because
dresses and see Sex in the City too.
you've been.
Let's do it, and then we'll go to the Cheesecake Factory afterwards.
Sounds so good.
You guys, I am so the Miranda in this. Actually, I think Jonah's the Miranda, and I'm probably I'm not a Samantha.
I am Carrie because I am the most horse-like.
Oh,
Because I could what?
Wow, that's,
What?
that's one way to look at it, I guess.
what are you, Doug?
I don't know. That's tough.
Well-
I loathe them almost equally. What's Kristen Davis?
Okay, well then you're a Miranda.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the bitchy one.
Her name was Charlotte.
Charlotte, yeah.
Yeah, I had to pretend for a
She's
second.
the
I
hot
didn't know.
one. I think she's the
Oh,
hot one.
I'd see Sex and the City too if I was dating somebody right now. Like if I had a girlfriend.
Like another
Would you
guy.
really want to date somebody that wanted to see Sex in the City too?
Well, it's just sort of, it's become, now I don't know who said it, but it's so funny. Somebody called it Too Big to Fail.
Oh.
Mindy Kaling retweeted it, but somebody else called Sex and the City Too Big to Fail.
Janie Haddad.
Yeah. Paul
yeah.
Tompkins' wife,
Yeah.
new wife. She said that Sex and the City 2 is too big to fail.
Yeah.
Just like David Banks.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if I were a chick, I would want to see it just because how many movies are for them?
How many
specifically?
women have? How many movies have strong female leads? Like 4 of them. 4 of them buying shoes and talking about periods and fucking.
Going off to the Sahara, like it's like. Why do they have to do something like that? Like, why not another movie that's like that TV series that everybody loved that didn't go off to a different country?
I can't wait till Sex and the City 3 when they go to Mars to like make oxygen.
I think they should. I think they should combine it with a Bourne movie. The Sex and the City identity.
That'd be a great move to all of a sudden turn the franchise into being like an action adventure series.
If I were a crazy billionaire, I would totally do shit like that.
Yeah.
Or go animated.
That's why
and
I-
do
I've
Sex and the
always
City
thought about
babies.
I've always, I always wanted to do an L Word Babies show, where it was just adorable lesbian babies living at life out loud, and we'll never get to see that. But Showtime is doing the real L Word. Like we did that scripted L Word before, but here's a reality-based
Now they
L
got
Word.
another thing called the C word, and it's for cancer, so that's disappointing.
Oh, I was hoping. I was hoping it was for talking
I was
vaginas.
hoping it was all a series about Laura Linney's vagina. But
Wouldn't you
instead
watch a
she has
show that was
cancer.
just talking vaginas? I would watch that show.
Maybe. Do you have to look at it sideways?
Yep.
Or do they flip it for you?
They flip
They
it.
better flip it for me. I'm not tweaking my neck out.
So Doug, we covered this. I'm sorry to repeat some of this because we covered this the first time we recorded you, and that recording is useless because of a technical error. But you and
we
I
did a whole show for just the 4 of us.
for just this. So it was just like we were hanging out.
Yeah, we sweated in that fucking room.
You're gonna miss out.
It's like I hung out with Mike Furman yesterday. It was the first time in years we've actually hung out without a project that we had to finish.
Oh,
like
that's nice.
it was just hanging out as friends. We went to the Museum of Jurassic Technology, which is fucking amazing. And I don't want to give away too much about the museum. You should just go and judge it for yourself. But it's in Culver City. It's been around for 21 years, and it is a gem in
it's
Los
really cool.
Angeles.
They
So.
finally get locking mechanisms at the vehicle doors. No.
Culver. No.
What's even worse about that is he had just
I
made that
remember that.
reference right when we got here.
It's stuck in that line gets stuck in my head. That guy's dead. He died of cancer. Anyway.
Well, that makes it okay then.
I always like the part where they learn to open the doors, in the
Just
compound. They just learned to do that. They just figured it out.
I love
And
that.
then the way when they're explaining it, I always thought Samuel Jackson said they also learned how to dial 9 for an outside line.
I just love to see this. Love to see this kind of limp little foreclaw come off and then hit the choop choop like the alarm on the fucking.
There was that moment in the Critic. They had that one of their cutaways in that cartoon, The Critic, where it's like they figured out how to unlock the doors, and it's just like you see like a newspaper come underneath the door, and then like the key wiggles out and falls on the they pull it back in.
But Doug, you and I first met in 1994 when you were a writer on MTV's Trashed, which was the first job that I ever had, and it was you and Posehn and Steve Higgins, who's now on the Fallon Show and who wrote for SNL, and his brother Dave Higgins and Dave Allen, who was Naked Trucker, and Joel Hodgson from Mystery Science Theater, and it was really an amazing collection of people, and Odenkirk and Cross and Janine Garofalo and everyone. You guys all did sketches on the show, and it was really, and the show died pretty quickly.
Yeah, well, it lasted one cycle, but it took us over a year to develop it. And you came in when we were on about month 11, and it really came down to we were really going to do it, and we really needed a host. They looked at 1 million people to be the host, and then plucked you out of somewhere. Like we weren't part of any audition that you did or anything. They were just suddenly like, "It's going to be Chris Hardwick," and we're like, "Who? What? Wick?"
Yeah, they plucked me out of the Gap at UCLA because they had to come in and style me to. I was this preppy kid at school, and they had to style me in like baggy pants and a gas station attendant shirt and a chain
Dude,
wallet.
like, strangely enough, like, because they buy in wildly varying, they gather clothes that are sometimes going to be too big for you.
Yeah.
So stuff that was too big for you, I wore for years. Like, I got totally hooked up by Paula Ellens,
It was a wardrobe stylist. Yeah.
who I'm friends with to this day whenever I run into her. But she, because she always works on, she worked on Mr. Show, then she worked on Sarah Silverman program, so I like show up and have to be fitted by her every once in a while, and we have a lovely time whenever I see her. But she hooked me up, gave me so much of your clothes that you didn't wear.
You got a lot of pairs of Dickies.
Stuff you wore once, like sometimes you'd wear like 3 layers, so the jacket would be kind of big and baggy, and then it would fit nice on me,
Terrible look, by the way. Super skinny guy wearing very baggy clothes. But that was the 90s.
That was part of it. Was like trying to keep you from looking like they pushed a skeleton out there. It's like, shook it around and
like in a creepy Popeye cartoon with the dancing.
Trivia questions.
That's fantastic.
But that was a really fun experience. Like some crazy stuff happened there. One of the other writers was Chris Henchy, who is now famously married to Brooke Shields.
Yep.
Which I could not, that's the sort of thing that never in a million years do you see that coming. When him and I and Mark Fight and who was another person on that set that was a maniac. When the 4 of us were playing.
Toby Huss.
We'd play chicken, where one guy would get on another dude's shoulders, and another guy would get on another dude's shoulders, and I was on Chris.
Wait, you were in some kind of a pool, right, Doug, or over a mattress of some sort?
No. We were in a small room with tabletops with jagged,
and gravity,
like hard edges and lots of hard corners, and we would just do that until we were all on the ground. And it was insane.
Wrestling shirts come off.
I remember one time I think we nearly wiped out into your mom, who was just trying to make her way through the hallway to get to your dressing room.
You would have crushed her. She's a tiny lady.
Yeah, but I just, to go from being on the dude's shoulders doing that to and he's married to and has children with Brooke Shields.
Do you think they play chicken at home? Do you think he puts Brooke on his shoulders?
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think.
Right. Chris Henchy's the one that told me that there are no nerve endings in your elbow skin, and you can squeeze or bite really hard on it. Not that I'm recommending that people do that. I don't want you to hurt yourself, but
if you do,
there's no nerve endings there, so this doesn't hurt. No matter how hard you squeeze it, it doesn't.
It's a pinch.
No, it doesn't.
I can feel it.
No, just like you straighten your arm, and then just this little bit of flap of skin right there.
Yeah, but if I pinch it with
I have so little because I have no body fat to speak of.
And your blood is also made of marijuana, so you probably can't feel.
Yeah, you're right. You can't feel it, but you could make it hurt. Like if you're stuck it with a pin.
If I put my fingernails
if I shot my elbow with a gun, that would totally. I would probably feel that.
If somebody bites your elbow skin, you're gonna feel it.
If a velociraptor who's gotten into your car because you were dumb enough to leave your keys on the floor. Velociraptor's biting my elbow! Just weirdly, I can't feel it. Yeah, just gingerly nipping at your elbow because velociraptors love elbow.
Jurassic Park 3 was so bad. Jurassic Park 3 was terrible.
Were there too many lens flares in it for you?
Wait,
not enough whales?
Jurassic Park 3. I liked the Lost.
Is that the one where
I liked the second one.
Yeah. The second one, in some ways, is better than the first.
Yes.
I think.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
The third one is an abomination.
Is that the one where he ends up in a...
I don't think I saw the third one.
Is that
the third one has Bill Macy in it?
Nope, didn't see it.
Part 2 was during Vince Vaughn's lengthy detour into drama.
Yes.
Like he was a drama guy for forever, and it's like, wasn't your first movie a comedy? Weren't you funny in that? Like he was like in so many dramas there for a while.
And now he's in too many comedies.
Well, because I gotta tell you though, if I have to see a shitty comedy, I want him to be in it because even when it's blows, something about him I find entertaining.
I think he's amazing. I thought Vince Vaughn's Wild West comedy tour was difficult to watch.
Right, but that's because a lot of it was just like really long stretches of stand-up comedy in a movie theater, like watching an audience watch comedy in a movie theater.
I think Vince Vaughn's great, and I totally understand why they tried to make a dramatic star out of him because he's got this sort of classic, sort of dreamy leading guy look, and they were like, well, we gotta fucking make him, a super actor. And he
went the independent route on so many things. He was in that thing with Janine Clay Pigeons, and he was just in every other indie movie for a while. And it was like, maybe he was just enjoying himself, or I don't know, or just in that first movie, he just thought of himself as an actor, not as a comedy actor.
I think he's great. Hey, if you're Vince Vaughn and you're listening, come be on the show.
Yeah, totally come be on this show. That would be so sweet. It'll be him talking and you guys listening, probably.
That would be really amazing.
His old buddy Craig Kilborn's coming back to TV.
I know.
What?
I'm
Craig
kind of excited.
Kilborn.
It's crazy. Yeah,
What's he
he's
doing?
going to have.
It's a show on Fox.
He's going to have a half-hour daily, like almost daily show kind of thing, like kind of going back to his roots.
Huh.
But it's going to be on all the Fox O&Os, the owned and operated.
And who do you think's going to take
So
it
it's gonna
over
be
and
on,
make
like,
it big
before,
after he quits?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like he was on the Daily Show and he did a fine job, but then Stewart takes over and it becomes an Emmy-winning show.
Yeah.
Then he does a Late Show and then he leaves, and Ferguson is now doing,
I
like
still remember
way better than
Jon Stewart's last week, or first week, where they did 5 questions, then 4 questions, 3 questions.
Yeah. They phased it out.
really funny.
But they still do Moment of Zen, and they
Yeah.
still, I don't know if he came up with that. That was probably Winstead or the other lady. But it's still, that's the thing about Kilborn, is it just like he went away, he, showed up in Old School.
Which
he's
the bad
hilarious in
guy,
Old
and he's
He was
good at that.
great in Old School.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
And then isn't he also in Benchwarmers, maybe?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the story,
So-
I don't know if this is true. I can't confirm this, but what I had heard was that he had asked for a raise in the Late Show, and CBS said no, and he said, "Well, you either give me a raise or I'm going to quit." And they were like, "Enjoy your vacation," and that was it.
Yeah.
So I had heard he kind of painted himself into a corner where it was like, well, if I don't quit now, then I'm not ever going to have any, they're never going to listen to me. And
Yeah.
so but that's what I heard, but I don't know if
But that's
true.
what I strangely admire about him, is that he didn't just sort of went away for a while, and then now he's back with
I saw the commercial for it, and they're like, Kilby's coming back. Like, who the fuck is Kilby? Is that some adorable anime creature?
Killy.
something he called himself on occasion. But I'm excited that he's coming back because he's going to have a panel, kind of in the style of Chelsea Lately or
Let's
any
ride
other
Kilby
show that
to
has a
Rainbow
panel.
Island. He's gonna do a round table?
And I would feel comfortable sitting at a table riffing with that dude. I think
I would
I think
too.
it would be fun.
I would too. I totally
I've
would.
always appreciated that
He
guy.
was so good on SportsCenter back in the day.
Yeah,
Him and Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann. Before Keith Olbermann became, here's a note to you, Mr. President. Take it down. You don't have to be
Oh my
angry all
God!
the
But
time.
Dylan
He's
Radigan
absolutely-
and the Ed Show yell at you even more than Oberman. Like when Chris Matthews is becoming like the quiet one. That's a pretty noisy network.
What had started to annoy me about Keith Olbermann's countdown is that every guest he had, he would just have someone on to say exactly what he said.
Well, now they have promos that say him addressing that specifically.
Really?
That they run a lot. Yeah, that basically him saying that he's not just bringing people on to agree with him, he's bringing people on for him to verify the facts. As he
Well, you
knows.
can't,
It'd always be like, here's what I say, now say it different.
No, you can't. But like, you can't really blame if Olbermann's doing. If any performer starts doing something, there's like this sort of Darwinian thing that happens. If you start doing something and it's the thing that people are responding to, consciously or unconsciously, you're going to continue to do that thing because you're being rewarded for it in some way.
Hence
And-
my pot smoking.
Exactly. So sooner or later, it just becomes the thing that you're known
The
for.
world is enabling you.
And
Yeah,
how do you
totally
how do you know, like, you don't necessarily have the same perspective on it anymore because you're just the guy who's doing what you think you need to be doing to survive.
Do you think your pot smoking feels contrived?
No, I mean it's
He really does it. When I saw
really organic.
when you were doing because I was around you when you were shooting Super High Me.
Yeah.
And when you were on like day 21 or 2 of smoking pot every day, I saw you backstage at UCB and your eyes were these little slits and I was like, "Doug, is this how is it smoking pot every waking second?" And you were like, "It's the greatest thing I've ever done."
Yeah.
Like you really
so stoked
You
all the
really
time.
were. There was no Morgan Spurlock like throwing up out of the side of the car with the Big Macs. Like you were really.
Well, that's what I always say is that the only side effects I experienced were weight gain and fun having.
Now, why do you think that? How was it that you didn't go back to that? Because now, I mean, you still smoke pot, but you're.
Well, I'm still I'm as there as I can be, like they were driving me around and filming me all the time, so it was my job really,
Dad, it's my job.
to be high all the time. But now that it's not my job, I'm not like insistent on being high all the time, and that's part of what I proved in the movie. I think is that I went 30 days without it, and it wasn't that difficult.
You do 30 days on and off of drinking too, right? 1 month on.
No, the whole thing, the whole 60 days was no drinking, and that was much harder than than not smoking.
Did you find it harder just based on like in social situations, not grabbing a drink, or?
Yeah, that's just it's just the thing is that like smoking has been relegated to before and after my shows. I cannot smoke during my shows,
Right.
but I can drink during my shows, and I do.
Yeah,
And
that's-
every night I have a cocktail.
And that was the weirdest thing about quitting drinking for me so many years ago is that there's almost no worse profession other than being a bartender than being a comic and not drinking, because fucking
always-
comedy clubs are bars,
Yeah.
and so you're always around it, always.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting way to go about.
Yeah, no, I thought that it was extremely zen of you to not only stop drinking, but also never relapse when you were in comedy clubs all the time, and also never complain about it. I've never once heard you, oh man, I wish everyone's
Yeah.
drinking.
I don't miss it.
If anything, you were at bars and comedy clubs even more when you quit drinking.
Yeah,
you were just going out
I
so
don't
much.
really miss it. I miss, you know what I miss? Like, oh, if I'm out of town, like if I were to go to Europe, oh, it'd be really nice if I could have a drink, like a glass of wine or a beer or something outside where it's really in a piazza when it's really nice. But then I just kind of go, then it would end up being 20 beers. And then it just
Well, that's the thing,
seems
is
gross to me.
I find that environment everywhere I go. Like every once in a while, I'll be sitting around not thinking a drink would be nice right now. But whenever I'm somewhere beautiful or about to watch something, like these movie theaters that have where they bring you booze at your seats, I love that. You know, it doesn't happen that often or often enough.
Do you think we're going to legalize pot in California when it goes on the ballot?
Well, it's supposed to be on the ballot in November on the 2nd. I'm going out on tour with Graham Elwood this summer to, we're doing the Pot the Vote tour where we're going to hit like 5 or 6 cities in California and trying to do as much media as we can to remind people to vote. And then that, of course, is 3 or 4 months before the actual voting, so I don't know if it's going to be effective.
Well, wait, what happens if it's legal? Does it become like Amsterdam? Are there like pot districts where you can go into a bar and they serve you,
That's
they
part
give
of the
you
thing.
bricks of pot? Or is it just that the federal government stops busting these
That's
dispensaries?
That's it. If the state votes to legalize it, it'll
Doesn't
still
matter.
be
It's still
illegal
legal.
according to the feds. But the state will have said it's legal. So then, just like the dispensaries have had since medical marijuana has been legal, there will be probably skirmishes with the feds of some sort.
Man, that's
but I
insane.
imagine personal use, just like with medical marijuana, no fed's ever going to bust into my house.
Right.
Just because I bought some from a place.
Although they might
So-
bust into your house specifically. You're pretty
Yeah.
outspoken about it.
Maybe, but you know, they're not going to.
Should we bust a guy with the 30 joints in his mouth on the DVD cover?
That was photoshopped.
What of the money that the state
Officer.
gains? What of the money that the state gains
Carry on.
from these dispensaries? Like, is that considered not valid by the feds?
No,
Like,
I mean that's part of the thing is that the reason it's going to be on the ballot in the fall is
we're broke.
well, you know, they got enough signatures to get it on the ballot, but then in addition to that, it also is going to possibly help. I mean, it's the number one cash crop in many states in this country, and it's illegal in all of those states that it's the number one cash crop.
Isn't it almost like the federal government going in and busting Indian gaming casinos? We're like, it's illegal to gamble.
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, but our state said it was okay to do on the reservation. I mean, it's
It's
almost kind of
essentially the same thing, and that's why Obama said knock it off. But who knows what's going to happen when this flip is switched on November 2nd? Like I, you know, right now the polls are saying 65% of Californians think it should be legal, and I think most of those think that because they either don't care or they think it's going to help financially. It's going to help the state. But it's interesting that there's still no ads on TV, pro or con. Like I don't know how hard anyone's going to come up against it.
But I don't. California's not as progressive as people think it is. As,
really
LA,
not.
and San Francisco. I mean,
You
like
know,
I think we learned that from the Prop 8,
Gay marriage
Yeah.
thing.
the
yeah.
Prop 8 fiasco.
County really,
What you realize is that there's really like two progressive places in California: LA and San Francisco. San Francisco really the most, and then everything else is rednecks in between.
Yeah,
you
no
know,
one seems to
like,
understand that. That like most
Except
of
for our
Californians
listeners in those places.
Yes.
Yes, of course. You guys
Love
are
you
great.
guys.
No, don't let him off easy. You know I'm talking to you,
Hey.
Wairika,
Oh no!
Yeah, Wairika is a
the
very
meth capital.
meth capital. Also
The
highest
meth capital of meth.
highest per capita of KKK members in the entire country.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Yeah, like it's just because
They're just falling out of the
KK
cabinets.
capita.
KKK capita.
Please don't make fun of the KKK because I said one thing on Twitter.
We're white enough.
Wait a minute. I got
Please
threatened.
don't make fun of them.
Well, make fun of them, but I got horribly threatened, and they fucking scare me. Because
Really?
if you are still in the mindset like, yeah, it's okay to go on sheet, put sheets on and burn crosses and tell people of different races they're inferior, you're obviously not like, you obviously don't have a problem just going out and fucking murder.
Like, reason isn't one of your hobbies.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
Do I remember all of it?
That came out wrong. I didn't mean don't make fun of the KKK. That's one of those things where they took the quote out of
It's a
context.
secret institution. Whatever you think about it, don't make fun of it.
What I meant is don't attract their ire to me or this podcast.
Do I remember All in the
They're not
Family
listening to
incorrectly in my
podcasts.
childhood, or did the Ku Klux Klan try and recruit in All in the Family? Didn't they try and recruit him? And then, like, I remember that.
No, that was the Halloween episode.
Oh, it must have been.
Yeah, I think
What
I
the
made
fuck do I
I made
remember?
some joke
That was
on
just ghost trick-or-treating.
The most unfortunate ghost costume.
I made some joke on Twitter, like there was some article about are babies racist, and so I said something like Coochie Coo or Coochie Ku Klux Klan, and I think I also made some.
But that's adorable. Why would they ever get mad?
And I also made some Ku Klux Clown joke where it was like a racist clown, but and then that was like I
Like
got
Homie the Clown, but white.
right. I got like horribly threatened, and I looked up some of these people. And they ran like these weird BDSM sites, and they lived in rural parts of the Pacific Northwest. And
How
I was
does
like,
the internet
"No,
get out there?
That's it.
How does that happen?
Through hatred. Their hatred is
yes.
so strong that forms this telepathic
VPN.
link.
It's a hate net. There's a whole.
Yeah, there's a
internet
hate
just for
net.
people that
It's a satellite of hatred.
I'm learning a lot, guys.
So
lasties.
now, Doug, Mike Furman and I.
You know, it's like if a bunch of monkeys pound a rock on a computer, eventually they'll write some hate speech. or Shakespeare.
That's funny. You just reminded me that when we were doing Trash, Steve Higgins, who was our head writer, who then went on to do SNL.
And he's the voice on the beginning of Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy
every
Fallon, amazing guy, one of the funniest people
night.
I've
Late
ever
night
made.
with Jimmy Fallon.
He
I like how he's running and the Roots are playing.
he had said that he would get these puzzling notes back from the network all the time, and he'd go, it's like if you're playing computer chess against someone and you don't see the other person, and they're making these moves and they're kicking your ass because you think they're brilliant, and then you come to find out the person on the other end is a monkey. And they're just making these random decisions, and you're like, they're brilliant, but it's just a random assortment of. Are you texting right now?
Are you not on airplane mode?
I
anymore?
wanted to show you guys something. I'm still in airplane mode.
See?
So you told me you could do everything still. I didn't know that. But when Sarah was dating Jimmy Kimmel, I used to frequent tapings of his show, as a few of my other friends did as well. And we would say, we would just call it JKL when referring to it in text. And so, but the first time I wrote JKL, now it's finally doing it right. It finally learned it. But the first few times I wrote JKL into my iPhone, it suggested KKK.
Oh.
Which means somebody
Was like, we should
had
put
to sit
we should
down
put this
and
in the
go, when people
vocabulary.
try to put three initials together and one of them's a K, it might be KKK.
America.
I should make it easy on them.
America.
I tried to put crab in once, and Arab came up.
Yeah, it's
That was
weird.
the
If you type Ghost B, Ghostbusters comes up properly,
Really?
capitalized and everything.
Oh, so
Nerd does
some
not
nerd
come up.
Totally put that in.
Nerd does not come up when you try to type nerd in. It doesn't. It's like I would think that'd be the first fucking word they would put in the iPhone, and it's not. It's not in the
They
iPhone.
don't think that
Something
way
much worse.
themselves.
No.
They don't know. They don't look in a mirror.
Technically, you can add words to your own dictionary by making
Yeah.
them contacts.
Yeah.
Also, Sasquatch comes up. SASQ. Sasquatch.
Oh, that's
Anyway.
interesting. Still not nerd
So
though.
apps still work. Apps
You know, I gotta
still work
say,
even when
I have to
you're-
say, your first gen iPhone is in surprisingly good condition.
Because
pretty.
you want to tell the story?
Oh,
I went to an amusement park one day with my first gen iPhone, and it was in St. Louis, and it was sweating, and it was gross, and we went on tons of rides, me and Graham Elwood, and I was just like, it was just one of those days where I'm soaking wet, but you know how the iPhone is, it feels like it can get wet.
Right.
A little wet or whatever. And then suddenly, when I went to type something, the entire middle row of keys wouldn't work at all. And when you eliminate an entire middle row of letters, it's very hard to even cryptically tell people things in a text. So
Right.
so suddenly that was like something I couldn't do anymore, which drove me nuts that I couldn't text and that I was doing that.
why does Doug keep writing QWERTY?
And I called up Matt and I said, "Hey, Genius Bar, what's the deal with?"
Which sounds sarcastic when you call someone Genius Bar. It sounds like you're saying they're stupid. Hey, Genius Bar.
Shit.
No, but you know what I mean. I have a friend that's a Genius Bar guy, and
Yeah.
I take advantage of it. And so I texted him what was happening, and he wrote back, "Oh yeah, sometimes that's the thing that happens to him because of moisture, because of excess moisture." in my pocket running around the amusement park on a hot day. It made the middle row of my keyboard go out, and that's something there had been precedent with. Like, that's an ongoing problem. Oh, yeah, that's just because you you knew what the problem was immediately.
Yeah, unfortunately, your ball sweat is creating too much moisture for the device.
Yeah, so...
And they can tell when there's moisture damage. They just run a flashlight into the port underneath, and you can
There's
see...
a liquid indicator.
So he got me a late generation, first generation when I had to switch it in.
A late gen, first gen.
Because there was no way to fix it.
Nice.
So I swapped it out because I had whatever
Apple Care.
warranty you talked me into buying.
And
first
his
time
sensor
around.
wasn't tripped.
So with Super Jaime, you had Furman and I. We made a song for you for the movie.
Yes, you did.
Which-
I'm eternally grateful for that.
Which appears for a couple seconds in the
You
car.
guys happily and quickly took the assignment. I said, come up with a 30-second theme song that's peppy and bouncy.
Well, many years ago,
Fun.
Mike Furman came home one night really high, and so he just recorded, because he was super, super high, he recorded this thing of just him going, I'm super fucking high, and there was some giggling. And so we took that and built a song around it, and so I'll when we end the podcast, I will end the podcast with that song, so people, if they care, they can hear it.
Oh, for reals? I thought we were talking about the I Love Movies theme.
Oh, we did the I Love Movies theme as well, which
That's what I thought we were talking
No, I was
about.
talking about Super Fucking High, which is in Super High.
That's hilarious.
We've done a couple of Doug Benson projects.
Yeah. Well, that
Yet
was
not a theme song for this show.
the
Interesting.
Yeah, no, Anna Managuchi does our theme song.
the podcast was first,
Yep.
right? You did that.
Yeah.
And then I said, would you guys like to do a song for Super Jaime?
Yeah.
When we were making it because I saw the writing on the wall that we were going to have no budget for songs, so we were just like getting whatever we could in there. And so I asked you guys to write something, and then does it play as an instrumental in the movie, or because you don't get to hear you actually singing "I'm super fucking"?
I thought it was in the
high.
credits.
No, there's one scene where they're in a car.
There's one
or
scene,
something.
but I think it's just a kind of an instrumental.
Yeah,
version
yeah,
of it, 'cause
yeah.
I think it had a long instrumental break in it or something.
I think we had hoped I hope stoners love this song, but I don't know if anyone likes it.
Yeah,
or
well,
not.
that's the thing is that there was just the hold up on the end of when I gave it to I was like, here's the song for the movie, and I gave it to him, and it was just like I didn't want to give you guys notes per se, but they just sort of reacted badly to the fucking over and over again because we're already making a pro-drug documentary, and then
to throw
we
some bunch of
I don't
swears
know why
in.
they never thought we could get a PG-13, I don't think, but they still thought that was just something that's just going to be a headache down the road.
Yeah. I
You
totally
have to bleep
understand.
out all the fucks and tell
And
them if
then
it's
you
on
can't hear the
TV
song.
or
The word "fuck" is in that song like
Have
60
to make
times.
it NC-17.
Yeah, so that's where there was kind of a stumbling block there, but they still used part of it just sort of as transition music
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something. But the I Love Movies theme, now the show's called Doug Loves Movies because that's what you sing in the song, and
Yep.
that's also when people Google it, that'll be the first thing that comes up.
Which is better because if you write "I love movies" in Google, then that's
You'll still get my podcast is pretty close to the top of that, but you'll basically the first thing will be porn probably.
that's called bad SEO.
Yeah. So we changed it to Doug Loves Movies, and but now I'm meeting people in bands and asking them to do covers of your songs.
Yes, you know what?
Oh, that's-
My friend Tony Thaxton from Motion City Soundtrack
He says
sent me a
they're
text.
he says they're going to try to do a cover of
Oh, I
it.
would love that. I sent him the lyrics.
And then
It all makes sense, huh?
It does. That's how it works.
except for it won't be a new one every week, but it'll be like Weeds, every
Like Weeds, yeah.
every few
Yeah.
months I can pop in a new one for a few episodes.
I love that.
Regina
That's
Spektor's was the best.
the which ones?
Regina Spektor's.
My buddies did one too. The Man. They did a Weeds one opening.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then they kind of abandoned that whole.
Well, now it's just like the opening title sequence is just a quick flash on some sort of object with weeds. Like it's always like a art, it's like a design thing,
Mm-hmm.
and there's usually no music or anything. It's just like a quick title.
Now, Doug, you're a very smart guy because you've been doing comedy for a long time and you've managed to you've slowly built all these different Doug Benson themed properties, like the not to make it sound artistic, not to take any of the art out of it, but the Doug Loves Movies, and then the Benson Interruption, which is phenomenal. And I'm doing your Benson Interruption in June. What's the date? It's
June 14th.
June 14th.
This is going to come out before then.
This is going up tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I'm putting it up tomorrow.
Let's talk more topical shit then.
Yeah. This is Memorial Day.
Did you guys see that movie W? Yeah, the Benson Interruption on June 14th will feature you, and also, like, guests are always kind of tentative because people have things that come up and things they're doing, or they just forget that they said yes to me. But tentatively right now, it'll be you and Sarah Silverman and Paul Scheer and, others to be named later. And for anybody that's listening to the Nerdist podcast that might not be familiar with the Benson Interruption, it's essentially me hosting a show, but then I sit on stage with a microphone during each act and contribute. And it's sort of, it started off as like, come out, try your new bits or do some classic bits, whatever you want to do, and I'll try to jump in. But now it's sort of got into more of a storytelling mode, because if anybody comes out and tells a story that I haven't heard before, it's just fun to get my take on it as it goes along.
By the way, this is not a formula that just anyone can do. Do not interrupt your friends' shows just for the fuck of it. You have to be funny like Doug Benson for it to work, because your contributions have to build. Rather than just interrupting, you have to add.
It's almost like an improv game. Like, pretend you're like, I've even done this with the Sklars. Like, I've stood on stage with the Sklar brothers and pretended to be the third Sklar. but I don't know what we're talking about, so I just have to repeat something they're saying or add another tag on to everything they say. And it's really fun to do because it's like a fun improv game, and you get bigger laughs on things that aren't that ingenious just because you clearly thought of it.
Well, also, I've come out of your shows with brand new stuff because. I just feel like you're such a wonderful safety net. I know that if something doesn't fly, then it's sort of shitty on my part to be like, yeah, Doug will save this if it doesn't go, but
that's sort of how Dax Shepard got involved with it. Like, he does a show whenever I have him on, whenever he's not shooting something, because he's just a really funny guy and he's got great stories, and he wants to kind of get into stand up, and especially because he could probably go to colleges. He told
the most amazing Michael Jackson story at that one Benson Interruption we did at Largo like 6 or 7 months ago, and it was phenomenal. He's fantastic. I knew Dax used to be at Groundlings, and I knew him.
Yeah,
when
and he was
on
Punk'd, and he's got even though he's an actor, he's still got a lot of credibility.
He's a funny guy,
being spontaneously funny, and I'm finding more of those and trying to get them to do the show. Like, I'm trying to get John Hamm to do it, because all he has to do is come out and tell a story, and then I fuck with him. It's almost like panel on a talk show where there's not that constriction that everybody has on a talk show, which is like the whole discussion has to be made first.
Well, you're the sidekick in a way, but you're driving the show.
Yeah, but I also don't have to keep it moving. Like, if something's fun, we can dwell on it for as long as we need to it to, as long as it's continuing to be fun. Like, whenever I watch anyone being interviewed on TV, even the best interviewers have that kind of look in their eye, like they're keeping track of when they've got to wrap it up. They're thinking about what their next question is, and in some cases, they're bored out of their minds.
Right.
So that's the other thing about the interruption is it's my friends telling jokes and me fucking with them. Like, that's my idea of a great time.
Well, and then at Cinefamily the other night, which was formerly the Silent Movie Theater, you had me come and do a movie interruption with you and me and Scott Aukerman and Larry
Zerner.
Larry Zerner. We did Halloween. Friday the 13th Part 3.
Yeah, I couldn't go.
In 3D, but we watched a 2D print of it, and essentially we're just Mystery Science Theatering the movie, but it was so much fucking fun, man.
Yeah,
we had so much fun.
Yeah, I was. Because people afterwards, Larry Zerner and a couple other people were like...
Who's in the movie?
How did you know people would show up and tolerate 4 guys on microphones yapping throughout a movie? And I was just like, well, obviously you have to pick the movie carefully. It's got to be something that has, downtime in it. Like, you can't just watch like a classic screwball comedy or something where everything's happening and there's no...
There are long stretches of silence in Friday the 13th
so horror
Part 3.
movies are great for it. Probably science fiction will be great for it.
Yep.
And then my intention now, because the Cinefamily was... The guy that runs that place was thrilled with
Hadrian.
how it went. Hadrian. That's one of those names, Hadrian. Like, every time, the first few times you hear it, you're like, I'm going to maybe have to hear this a few more times. But Hadrian...
Well, I remember his name because Hadrian was a Roman emperor, if I'm not mistaken.
It had to be something old, because I can't imagine somebody would make up Hadrian.
No.
But whatever he is...
It's an old name.
Whatever he is, he's running the theater now, and he was happy with the results. So my intention is to keep doing it once every 2 or 3 months. And the next movie I want to do is a movie called Torque, That
Was that a bike movie?
that Adam Scott is in? Yeah. It's
I
got
love Adam
bikes and
Scott.
it's got bikes and cars, and Adam Scott is like he's a detective team that's on this particular case.
Is it a serious movie?
And it's kind of a comedy and kind of serious, but Adam's like the funniest in the movie because he kind of seems to get the tone of it. Like he kind of knows it's a piece of crap and acts accordingly. And but he's got a partner who I think is the woman who played the wife of the Hispanic coroner on 6 Feet Under. I think it's that kind of thing, like where it's just like a random character actress is his partner. And they're chasing after these dudes that are, having these
Torquing it up.
Yeah, having these, fights and street racing and all sorts of stuff. So it's got like crazy stunts in it. It's kind of like I don't think McGee directed it, but it's kind of like he clearly was standing around telling people what to do because it's got a
sounds really
McGee
familiar.
vibe to it. Yeah, I forget who directed it, but anyway,
Was it like an answer to Fast and Furious or something?
it was. I don't know
Was
what
it
it was an
Fast and
answer
Furious
to.
a question?
It was an answer
Yeah.
to. Yeah, it was an answer
Why
to a
was the question?
It was definitely an answer to a question nobody asked because nobody saw the movie, nobody really remembers it, but it does have some really funny stuff in it, but it also has, I think, enough downtime that we could do it, and I think that sort of gave us a little extra license, or it just made it more interesting to fuck around with one of the cast members right there doing it with us.
But do you think it has to be a movie that people are familiar with, though? I mean, like, part of the fun of Friday the 13th Part 3 is I imagine that most people that came to that knew that movie. So can people watch a movie they've never seen before and
I
still...
think so, because
It
it's
works
got
on
to be
Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mystery Science Theater was always colossally bad movies, like nothing good about them. You know, like where even if a character tried to make a joke, it wouldn't get a laugh. Whereas Torque actually has some intentionally funny stuff in it. Friday the 13th 3D, had a couple of good gross out moments that we got to have
Do you mean
fun with.
do you mean the harpoon in the eye?
Yeah, but we got to have fun with it because they've got a button on the projector at Cinefamily to just quickly show like it's like TiVo. So like we'd be like, let's see that again. They'd
Oh,
show us
that's awesome.
like so every time somebody died violently, we'd watch it 5 or 6
See
times.
the
in a
harpoon
row.
go into the eye 5 times.
that's
or
great.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of that'll go on with Torque, but yeah, that's my intention is to try to meet people that are in movies that I like that are kind of funny bad, but not terrible, but also I just think doing it with a great movie, it would have to be a certain great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bet you we could have fun with. It's too long, but we would have fun with something like Gone with the Wind, because as serious as it is, it doesn't hold up to a modern sense of.
I should see if Rainn Wilson would come and we could do House of a Thousand Corpses.
Well, that's an obvious good one because the movie's engaging, but also talking through it wouldn't work.
But and there's a lot. I think there are a lot. There's enough. You're right. Horror sci-fi is perfect because there's enough tension moments where you can you can talk through that that stuff.
Whenever somebody's like in Friday the 13th 3, it was amazing how often people were looking for something. They're looking for somebody else, or they're looking for like
Walking into a barn for no
There's
reason.
just people wandering around and saying, and like whatever's they're looking for, they keep repeating it out loud. And is anyone there? Like there's a
This is
lot of
funny.
that.
Come on.
Yeah, so there was a lot of room for us.
Oh, I'm
to,
dead.
For us to play. But did you notice the actress that was in the movie that Larry pointed out to us was there, and we introduced her at the beginning?
Yep.
She didn't stick around after it was over.
She was very nice afterwards. When I saw
She
her,
was happy?
Yes, she was
Okay,
happy,
good.
and the guy that she was with was like,
afraid
"Oh,
I
this
might
was
have
so
said
much
something
fun."
awful about her at some point.
Oh no, I mean, surely you can't. She certainly couldn't be like, how could they trample over my art? Like, I'm sure it
but
wasn't.
after like a bad line reading hers, I probably like mockingly did her voice and went, "I want a dick in my mouth" or whatever.
You should do the
I'm
movie
sure I
Rad.
said something horrible.
Rad?
Yeah, because actually my buddy Sarah Haskins is engaged to the guy who wrote it. So that might be kind of fun for you to do.
That sounds good. So
We're already getting suggestions from people on
so Doug Benson.
gotta show this movie.
So we can find you. We can
Does
find
that
you.
sound like that?
We can find you all over the place. We can find you on Netflix with Super Jaime. We can find you TV. Are you and Graham going to do another some more of your show?
Well, interestingly, we did a pilot or a special for G4 called The High Road, and it took forever for them to, they grappled with it for a long time, and I give them credit for making this special to begin with. But ultimately, G4, the network that does 420 Day every year, they had to pass on doing it as a series because they didn't want to finance something that is essentially a glorification of illegal drugs.
Which is you.
Which is essentially me, yes. So you might not see me on the channel much.
That's your brand.
In general. But like, and I've been trying to explain this to people. They say, but they show Super Jaime over and over again. And I go, yes, but they didn't acquire Super Jaime. And in the case of the High Road, they made it, but they can kind of distance themselves because they don't advertise it that it's showing it all. They just kind of spring it on. And then also, every time I smoke, we had to edit it in a way that every time I smoke, I refer to it as medical marijuana while I'm doing it. And that would have been...
I guess I better start medical marijuana-ing.
Yeah, that would be a strain on a series to have to do that all the time. But they didn't even put it out there like that. They didn't say, hey, you can do like a lesser version of it. They just They just said, we can't do this show. We can't do it on a weekly basis. So now we're just sort of looking into the idea of, essentially the High Road was just Super Jaime continued. And so now I just want to kind of continue the High Road back into feature films. I want to try to get a movie version of Graham and I on the road together off the ground. And that's part of the plan this summer with the Pot the Vote thing.
Okay, so
we're going to try to film that tour.
So there's that, and then also Doug Loves Movies, which is hugely popular on iTunes, your podcast, and then also The Interruption, which people should see if you're in LA, June 14th, and then Doug Benson's Movie Interruption, which you should come see the next time that hays. And you're at Doug Benson on Twitter. Are you at DougBenson.com?
No, there's DougLovesMovies.com is a way if you don't want to go through the iTunes to...
I think Doug's also still one of the last people on MySpace.
Yeah, I'm holding up that.
You love it.
I love MySpace because I get friend requests every day still. If the friend requests stopped coming in, I would dump it or certainly pay less attention to it.
You got to accept those friendships because who else are you going to talk about tap-out shirts with?
Right? But also, once you've accepted them and vice versa, you can have, trying to converse on Twitter is a pain in the ass, because I don't want to follow somebody just so we can DM each other.
Right.
So that's a great place to send them to is let's just go to MySpace and you can write all you want in your letter to me and I'll read it and then I'll write all I want back to you. There's no restrictions.
Am I still on your top friends?
I think you are.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't changed my top friends. I update the tour thing. I'll put a new album on the page when a new album
What's
comes
funny
out.
is you go to people's pages and the top friends there's like gaps. People who dropped out.
I still have mine. I still have mine on there. All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
and the people that are coming to and sending me friend requests on there, there's a very specific thing that's happening. Like you just look at their picture and you go, oh yeah, they probably either smoke pot or go to a lot of movies, and it's mostly the pot smokers are. I think the pot smokers are taking over MySpace because it's gotten so quiet there.
You could fucking run that place. You could be the president of MySpace, Doug
It's a place
Benson.
where you can just run around. I'm not
Tom on
kidding.
the
If
phone.
I looked at it right now, I'd have 5 or 6 new friend requests without really. This is one of the few times I've ever even really talked about it lately.
There's these MySpace sympathizers who, with all this Facebook stuff, are like, see, this is why I stayed here at MySpace. No privacy.
I'm just waiting for
issues.
like a retro flashback, because I'm still on Friendster, and like I'm gonna be so cool.
Yeah.
Is Friendster really still going?
Oh, it's
I
still
don't
around.
know.
Yeah, it's still Friendster's still around.
I'll occasionally, because I don't have the email that I signed up with Friendster or MySpace, so I can't cancel them because I'd cancel that email address.
You can
Friendster-
upload a picture to Friendster.
Is Friendster like mostly older people then, or?
I think it might just be Rob Schneider.
I think it's all just skeletons.
Skeletons and ghosts.
Yeah, I didn't even realize Friendster was still a possibility.
Yeah,
it's still there.
It's your
When I
Friendster's
got out of there,
birthday.
I burned it down. I canceled my account.
Yeah.
Well, Doug, thank you very much for coming back and this was a super fun podcast, by the way.
I think that was great. It wasn't as good as the one that didn't work out.
But you'll never know that, America.
Can you imagine if I actually really thought of it that way? Like, man, you guys fucked up and ruined the good one. This one will do, I guess.
I mean, as long as it's my voice out there promoting my stuff, I don't give a fuck. But seriously, way to fucking ruin the good one.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about this
happy,
particular podcast.
I was happy we got to do it again, and then it went so well. And
He's waiting to turn it off.
It's a lovely home you have here.
Ah, yeah.
is nice.
My favorite
Coming
part
to
of the
you from
podcast
Chris.
was minute 15. Where did we stop them?
Did
you keep the notes?
I kept minutes. I'm the minute taker. Say goodbye.
Bye. The end.
Smelting, or chemical reduction, is a form of extractive metallurgy. The main use of smelting is to produce a metal from its ore. Smelting makes use of a chemical reducing agent to change the oxidation state of the metal ore. The carbon or carbon monoxide derived from smelting removes oxygen from the ores to leave the metal. Smelted carbon is oxidized, producing carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. As most ores are impure, it is often necessary in smelting to use flux, such as limestone, to remove the slag.
I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking high. Why did I just walk into this room? Why did I just walk into this room? How long have I been going on? And going really going on and going on and on. I should try to focus. Man, have times always been this small? Where is the sound of water? Well, I wanna write about it in my journal, but instead I think I'll have 2 bowls of Lucky Charms and crawl back into bed because I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking high. I'm super fucking high. I'm just super, I'm super fucking.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.